the question is, AKA Padders, and welcome back to another hot episode, another scary episode of the 31 Days of Dread. Do you get any hotter than Sydney Sweeney right now? And I don't mean attractiveness, even though she is a babe. I'm talking about how viral she is. Every single time I open up Facebook, I go to any of the social medias, I'm seeing some AI picture of her, I'm seeing some repost of her, I'm seeing some picture of her in some red carpet and some award show. She is the viral thing right now. We have a horror movie, she is the focus, and we're thrown to Italy. Now, it's a pregnancy, if you haven't guessed from the title of this movie. Pregnancy and horror are two things that go together, as well as slasher and knife. So let's get into it for this year's 31 Days of Dread. Sydney Sweeney starring in Immaculate. It's October, and it's time for the 31 Days of Dread. This is where you get one horror movie a day for the entire month of October. That's how much we love horror. That's how much we love Halloween on the Film Buff Podcast. And here's the crazy thing. This is the longest running horror event in all of podcasting. So get ready. We're going to rock and roll. We're going to scare our socks off. And yes, we're going to be grabbing some candy. Maybe some cereal. Let's go. There's a lot to unpack with this movie. Some of it, like the most focal, is the absolute impact that Sydney Sweeney has. We go back to Madam Web, a movie that I quite enjoyed. I like Madam Web, I really did. I like the different threads, pun intended, that we see in that movie. I like it. I just like the build up for that movie. I don't know how many different ways I can phrase it. And during the publicity of that movie, Sydney Sweeney really took over. This is where we saw how important Sydney Sweeney's name was attached to a movie. And Sydney Sweeney technically is third from the top, just when it comes to names in that movie. She doesn't have top billing. We have a horror concept that the horror universe loves, and we've seen a lot of it in 2024, and I'm hoping to get through all of them. We have this, we have Apartment 7A, we have The First Omen. I think I'm forgetting another one or two, but we have 3 to 5 significant demon baby movies. That's Immaculate. But Immaculate has a wonderful twist at the end. Wonderful twist. As we get into, as some of the critics like to say, third act. So what's the other major component of this movie? Well, it's Neon. Neon. We have A24, we have Blumhouse, and we have Neon. These are your 3 production houses. These are the modern day studios that are proxies of bigger studios, but essentially they target mid-budget movies, low-budget movies, as a lot of us would like to say, but low-budget movies with a big impact. Blumhouse created its empire off of that. Back in the day when I was growing up, that was New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema. They used to call it the house that Freddy built. But now we have a 3-headed dragon, and Neon gets a lot of attention. Their selections get a lot of attention. A24, you go to HBO Max, A24 has its own section. It would be as significant, going to Hulu and seeing a Miramax category, which we should have, but there's, those reasons. Blasphemous. Or, everything with Megalopolis. You go to HBO Max and there's a Zoetrope Pictures category. So Sydney Sweeney, she's a nun. She's headlining this movie. We're thrown in Italy. And we get the creepiness, right? We get all of these tropes, and we get Sydney Sweeney thrown into the middle of these tropes. And I'm going to I'm going to play spoiler here. There's a nail of Jesus in the blood of that nail, and a genetic guy, and they're trying to impregnate someone with the DNA of Big J. And at the end of the movie, this pregnancy happens. We have nice murder, some good blood, and Sydney Sweeney in one of the best birth scenes in Hollywood history, in movie history. She gives birth to what we believe to be the Antichrist, not Jesus. We don't see the baby, we hear the baby, and we get a perfect ending that here it comes, AKAPADers. We have an ending that sticks to your ribs. This movie sticks to you for good reason. Immaculate is one of the movies in this category. We would have to put it with Rosemary's Baby. Now, the overall impact of Rosemary's Baby and The Omen, two of these movies that have prequels, and yeah, Omen somewhat qualifies as Demon Baby. But maybe like House of the Devil, where in House of the Devil and Witch, two of the modern day ones, stylistically pair with this movie because we don't quite see the evil. The evil is portrayed in all the other senses other than sight. You know, we draw in the other four senses, not the sixth sense. The four of the five senses. But this movie's there. This movie, if Sydney Sweeney continues her trajectory, right? Like, Sydney Sweeney needs an Oscar run at this point. It's Oscar run or bust. I think she's in this HBO Max movie called Reality, and she's so good in that. The girl can act. She's not just soft on the eyes. But if she gets an Oscar run in this calendar year, in this, it could be even next Oscars, not upcoming February Oscars, but even next Oscars, people will look back at this movie and they'll say, wow, she's been working with high level material this whole time. And yes, they will attack her for Madam Web, even though that's not her movie. Someone else is above that. Someone else's name is above that title. Someone else's face is on that poster. But keep in mind, with everything, including Madam Web, is the multiverse, right? We can argue that Sydney Sweeney's thread in Madam Web could still come to fruition. We can still get superhero Spider-Girl Sydney Sweeney, and I think the world would love it. Now, Immaculate is there. Now, Michael Mohan, this is our writer-director. Oh, I'm sorry. This movie is written by Andrew Lobel. Sorry. But Michael Mohan, he previously collaborated with another notable Sydney Sweeney movie called The Voyeurs. It's a suspense thriller that deserves your attention, and he's been a part of a couple other movies. Like, he made a movie in 2010 and 2012, One Too Many Mornings and Save the Date. I'm not familiar. Maybe Save the Date. That kind of sounds familiar. But this guy's he's been directing since 2010. It's 2024 now, and you really want to say Immaculate is his hat. He's throwing his hat into the ring of being a modern day director. But he's been around. He's made a lot of short films. He's been involved with TV. Daytime Emmy Award nominee for Ghostwriter in 2020, 4 years ago. He should have won that. But no. He's a talented individual. This movie feels like the era. It feels like Italy. Look, we're dealing with modern digital production. I feel like I'm always gushing about how good movies look. Immaculate looks amazing. and we do have some nice deaths. We have some good beatings with this movie, and I'll leave it there. But no, go check out Immaculate, and don't let the hype of Sydney Sweeney steer you away from this movie. This movie deserves your attention, and it's a good entry into the demon baby pregnancy horror genre. AKAPAD, welcome back to 31 Days of Dread. Until next time, get yourself some candy. AKAPADers, thank you for joining me for another episode of the 31 Days of Dread. We have been dedicated to horror for a long time on this feed, on this podcast. If you guys want to know more about everything we do here, go to AKAPAD.com. From there, you can navigate to the 31 Days of Dread. We have a dedicated landing page that goes through all the years of the 31 Days of Dread, and we also have a directory that jumps you to any movie that we've done. So you can just look up the movie by name, you can go to the directory, it's all alphabetical, and you can just explore. And that's the intent, and that's why we're so into the 31 Days of Dread, because no one's done this. No one has put this much time, this much thought and effort into American horror and international horror, and we love it. Horror is the future of American cinema. Horror right now is holding up American cinema, and I'm so thankful for it. So I'm hoping that you can extend yourself, explore, and continue the conversation. AKAPAD.com. Thanks, guys.